Hello everybody, I'm Chris Provost and you're watching Provost Park Pass. And in today's video, I'm going to show you 4 things that Bob Iger has done that's going to affect the Disney company in the year 2023. But before we get to that, could you guys go ahead and hit that subscribe button? Go ahead and hit it. Bing! Beep, boop, beep. Hit that little subscribe button and hit that notification bell. That way when new videos come out and breaking news happens, you will be the first to know what's going on. I mean, our next video is going to be about some of the best candy at Disneyland. I mean, you don't want to miss that. So go ahead and hit the subscribe button and the like button. All right, so let's get into the top 4 things that Bob Iger has done since he's taken over when Bob Chapek left. I mean, and these things some of them might seem a little bit insignificant, but as you start peeling back the layers, you're like, oh my gosh, I see exactly what he's starting to do with this strategy. Now, I want to talk a little bit about business. I used to do business before I started doing YouTube. For 20 years, I was in the professional world and had a successful career there before I became this goofy YouTuber. So I'm going to look at some of my business acumen and kind of talk about it. And keep in mind, this is just a watered down version of some business things that are going on. When a company starts to go through, they go through like growth. There's usually 4 different growth cycles. I know people are like, wait, there's actually 11. I know, but we're just watering this down. Let's talk about the 4 different growth cycles that a company will go through. The first one here they go through is called organic. You see this organic growth right there. Boop, 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 boop. Organic growth is just like when you first start off a company. So let's pretend that I was a baker making donuts and I started selling my donuts and people tasted them. Like, oh my gosh, those donuts are really good. And word of mouth started spreading and people started buying more donuts. That is organic growth. The next type of growth is strategic growth. Strategic growth is when you start to have to you want to tap into another market, right? So you're starting to think like, okay, people are buying my donuts, but I want to become even more profitable, make even more money. So how can I do that? So you guys start thinking strategically. You're looking for people who are not your audience. So maybe I start making like healthy donuts that taste like sawdust. And people are like, oh, I want healthy donuts. I'm now gone into a whole new market. I'm getting people are buying donuts, and then people are trying to buy healthy donuts. And then on top of that, I start making donuts with our same recipe. Keep in mind, it's the exact same recipe. But I start doing the shape of triangles. And I start promoting, like, our triangle donuts taste the best. And so now I'm attracting people who like triangles, and they start coming in and start buying donuts. That's strategic growth, right? Strategic growth. Next here is internal business growth. Internal business growth is when you start looking for efficiencies within your company to make them become more profitable. The best company who's probably ever done this is Toyota. Toyota is just renowned for their internal business growth. An example is there's the New York Food Bank. They serve about 1.5 million people a year. And they do that through the generosity of large donations from like other companies like Delta, Apple, Disney, and people donate money there and they use that food to feed the homeless people. Well, Toyota's like, hey, we're going to help out with that, but instead of doing donation, we're going to look at internal business growth for you guys. And everybody's like, what does that even mean? At the time before Toyota went there, it would take an average of 90 minutes to feed one person because of the long waits. When Toyota came in, they organized and became more efficient by using the same amount of people, the same food. We're able to take that wait time down from 90 minutes down to 18 minutes. Feed the same amount of people, but even faster and get them out of the cold. We get very efficient. Toyota is just very good at this internal business growth. Now, like if we're going back to my donut scenario, maybe like, it takes like 5 minutes to make a donuts, but all of a sudden somebody figures out, hey, oh my gosh, when the dough comes out, it automatically heats, goes through this little baking thing and heats it and comes out. It's done in 2 minutes and doesn't add any more people here. It's awesome, saves us money. That's internal business growth. And the last one, of course, is we got here is partnership or merge. Bob Iger is the king of that. When he took over Disney, Disney was around a $65 billion company. And when he left, it was around $265 billion because they did a lot of acquisitions and mergers. Marvel, Star Wars, Lucasfilm, Pixar, animation, all these things, he brings them in. And that's where Bob Iger probably feels the most comfortable. I think that's probably where he wants to go. But he can't really go there right now because the Disney stock is down and they're not quite as powerful. So he, I believe, is going to focus in 2 areas. One, most importantly, I think he's going to focus here on internal business growth, and the next is strategic. And I'll show you why. Now we need to talk about the different types of leaderships there are lots of different types of leaderships, and keep in mind I'm watering this down just for simplicity, but we're going to say there's 2 different types of leadership styles. You've got what's called a decentralized leader and what another one's called a centralized leader. A decentralized leader, that is Bob Iger. A decentralized leader is somebody who is like, hey, they want to give you the authority, you make your decisions, you go out, you work really hard, you come back and bring success to me. That's a decentralized leader. A centralized leader, that's really what Bob Chapek was. A centralized leader is when you remove all the decision-making properties from down below, move up to a few select people in the executive level, and they make all the decisions for the company, and then it goes back down. So everything's got to go up and down the chain. There's pros and cons for both, right? For a decentralized leader, morale usually goes up. People are really good. But if you have employees who aren't really working very hard, then your productivity will go down. Where you have a centralized leader, where usually your productivity might go up because everybody's like looking at what's going on, but your morale can go down. I saw this time and time again. When somebody would get promoted to a brand new manager, a lot of times they become what we call a micromanager. I don't like micromanagers. Micromanager is somebody comes in and they think the best way to affect business is by affecting the employees. So let's say that micromanager's goal is to have 20 widgets created in a week. Well, what they do is they're going to look at it and start making reports like, oh, well, Janice, you came in 15 minutes late. Oh, Kirby, looks like you showed up a little bit late. Oh my gosh, John, your lunch, you went a little bit long. Oh, you can't go for a doctor's appointment for your kid because when are we going to get these widgets? They're monitoring and looking at the employees rather than the output. A decentralized leader, they don't care. What they're looking at is they're like, hey, here's the deal. I need 20 widgets by the end of the week. Do they care if you take a 30-minute lunch or a 45-minute lunch? They really don't care because at the end of the week, they're going to say, okay, Chris, where's the right widgets? How many did you do? And I'm like, I did 22 widgets. They're like, yeah! They're like, okay, that's awesome. They love it. Or they're like, I only did 18 widgets. Then at that point, they have that hard conversation like, hey, our expectation was 20, so what happened? You should have worked later, or what did you do? Did you leave early? So at that point, they might start looking in the dynamics. But that's the difference really between decentralized leadership and a centralized leadership. And Bob Iger is a decentralized leader. So let's go through and see what he has done. And these are the big changes. There's 4 massive changes he's made, and it's going to affect this coming year. So let's take a look at this. The first change that Bob Iger did was on day number 1 of being CEO is he let go of Kareem Daniel. Kareem Daniel was the right-hand man for Bob Chapek, and he was the head of media and entertainment. And he sent out this email. Now, keep in mind, remember Bob Chapek, it was a centralized leadership. Most people, Kareem Daniel was a decision maker. Bob Iger sent out this email, and this email said this. Over the coming weeks, we will begin implementing organizational and operating changes within the company. It is my intention to structure things in a way that honors and respects creativity at the heart and soul of who we are. As you know, it's a time of enormous change and challenges in our industry, and also work to focus on creating a more efficient and cost-effective structure. He's talking about that right there, internal business growth right there. And that whole statement is about, hey, we're going to be more efficient, more cost-effective. That's internal business growth structure. I've asked Dana Walden and Alan Bergman, Jimmy Pitaro, and Christine McCarthy to work together on the design of a new structure that puts more decision-making back in the hands of our creative team. What's that doing? He's decentralizing the company. He's like, hey, you guys have to make those own decisions. So, I mean, like right there in that first little email on day number 1, we're talking about internal business growth and efficiency, and we're talking about decentralizing the company. This will necessitate the reorganization of Disney Media and Entertainment Distribution. As a result, Kareem Daniel will be leaving the company. He did that on day number 1. Okay. 6 days later, then Andrew Bachner was the vice president and strategic communication and head of speechwriter for Bob Chapek. He let Arthur go, and there wasn't really a lot of fanfare. There wasn't a big email saying he's gone. He's gone. And Arthur Bachner was the head speechwriter for Bob Chapek, and Bob Chapek really had 2 massive stumbling blocks. Number 1 is the way that he and the Florida government were interacting with each other, really bad. And number 2 was the Q3 quarter earnings call. It was such a disaster that what happened is that Bob Chapek was announcing that they had a $1.5 billion loss on streaming services, but hey, it's okay because we got more subscribers, blah, blah, blah. And he's just trying to spin it, and not really addressing the issues. And Arthur Bachner wrote that email and wrote that speech, and he's gone. He's gone, and he's out. And he's also, I think what's really important is I think that was a way that Bob Iger was trying to send signals to Florida, say, hey, we want to work with you. We understand that there's some roadblocks here. And that happened on day number 6. Then, on 8 days later, on November 28th, Bob Iger had a town hall with a bunch of employees, let them ask questions. Really, it was just kind of like, let's just get to know you. I'm back. Yay. I'm welcome. I'm excited to be working with you. Let's work together. Let's rah, rah, rah type of meeting. But there was one thing in there that really kind of blew my mind. Somebody asked this question. They said, what about the reservation system for Disney parks? And what did Bob Iger say? He's like, well, I've never used that. I really don't know much about it. I'm going to defer back to Josh tomorrow. What does that tell us right now? Boom. He's talking about this decentralized leadership style right there. He's like, hey, that's Josh D'Amaro's area. And I think that Josh D'Amaro might have been shielded from Bob Chapek a little bit. So everybody thought Bob Chapek was doing all these reservations and all this, but now Bob Iger has firmly stated, this is Josh D'Amaro. He's in charge of parks. I trust my leaders. He's going to make whatever best for the company. And so it all comes back to this decentralized leadership. That same day, after that town hall, then Bob Iger a reporter asked him a question about Florida, and Bob Iger said this. I was sorry to see us get dragged in that battle, and I have no idea what the ramifications are in terms of the business itself. What I can say is that the state of Florida has been very important for us for a long time, and we've been very important to the state of Florida. He's trying to massage things over. One of the things that Bob Iger is very good at, he's very charismatic, he's a very likable person. Bob Chapek, maybe not so much, maybe a little more cold and prickly. And right there in that statement on day number 8, he's kind of trying to smooth things over with the legislatures in Florida. Because if you don't know what Reedy Creek is, Reedy Creek was a principality. It was a city that was made for Disney itself. And this is Walt Disney's idea, actually. And it was actually officially made in 1967. And what it is allow Disney to create their own property. They had their own fire departments. They had their own, all their taxing and all that stuff was all done in their little area. That way they could control the land that was around Walt Disney World. And this is the Reedy Creek development. Well, when Bob Chapek kind of got his business involved with Florida, and Florida was pushing back, the governor, Ron DeSantis, is finally says, you know what, fine, we're going to dissolve Reedy Creek. You don't have to have that anymore. And a lot of people thought that was a move because he was upset with Bob Chapek interfering with their politics. And I don't really know. I'm not a mind reader. But that was kind of going on. And that's supposed to happen in June of 2023. I mean, that's like 6 months away, right? So on day number 8, Bob Iger kind of, I think, was massaging that situation. Well, 4 days later after that, it was like December 2nd, Randy Fine, who was the guy who drafted the law to dissolve the Reedy Creek district, said this. Chapek's departure from CEO position improved the chances that something would get sorted out regarding Reedy Creek. Fine then said this, and I love this quote. I think he's just calling her out. He said, it's easier to shift policy when you don't have to defend the old policy. Chapek screwed up, but Bob Iger doesn't have to own that screw up. So that's Randy Fine guy say, hey, Bob Chapek's out. Bob Iger, we like you. We'll work with you, and so let's try to get this resolved so we don't have any damage here between Florida and Disney. Let's try to work together. And Bob Iger is very good at that. So those are really the things that we need to take a look at. That's what Bob Iger has done, and that is set up for this next year, 2023. We're going to see this. He's going to do this decentralized growth of the company. He's going to try to move the leadership back to letting people make their own decisions so we don't get bottlenecked or clogged up. We're going to definitely be seeing this internal business growth, trying to become more efficient in internal business growth. Plus, I think he's going to be starting to look at the strategic business growth and ways that we can do this for Disney. It'll be interesting to see what he's going to do. Now, I really want to hear your thoughts on this particular matter. Did I miss the mark? Did I get the mark? Put it down below. For those people who have really good business acumen and business sense, say, Chris, please put it down. What you think? I enjoy reading those comments. It helps foster my understanding a little better. I'm like, oh, I didn't even think of that. So I love to have your comments down below. Put them down below what you think. Now, I know a lot of you are like, but Chris, what about the parks? What's going to happen with the parks? I don't think anything's going to be changing the parks for a little while, because the parks is the most profitable part of the Disney company right now. 63% of the profit comes from the Disney parks. And I think that Bob Iger is probably hesitant to change anything right there. He might revamp some things with the reservation system just to kind of throw that bone to the public and say, hey guys, I'm working with you. But at the same time, I don't know if they want to, because they get a lot of valuable information from the reservation system. They know exactly for staffing needs and all that. So I think that they kind of like it, but we'll see what they happen to do. I'm not exactly sure, but we'll put it down in the comments. I literally would love to hear your thoughts on this. So put it down in the comments. Those are the 4 things that Bob Iger has done to set up that I think is successful in 2023, and we'll see what happens. Our next video is going to be some of the best candy at Disneyland. Make sure you hit the notification bell so you find out some of the best treats at Disneyland. I want candy. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.